Hey guys, what's up? Green Machine Sam back with another video, and today we have another 2K25 roster update guide. Now, of course, with 2K26 coming out, I figured this would be the time to update the rosters. 2K24 is on the way, but for now we're focusing on 2K25. There's a lot of work to be done because there were a lot of players added to teams that weren't in the draft, whether they were overseas guys, G League guys, or whatever. Some guys have been added to teams since then. So first and foremost, you guys will want to head over to features. Now, of course, with the news that 2K26, I don't know if this was correct because I haven't looked into it after the fact, that 2K is not enabling share cross-platform with PC this season because of the fact that apparently a lot of the rosters that were getting imported from PC over to consoles was slowing down the performance of consoles and was fucking with some of the systems on the back end or something. So, but I'm not on PC, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm on PS5. So first and foremost, you guys will want to head to create roster, NBA modern current, user created, and you guys will want to push triangle or Y on your controller. Now, if you guys are on PS5, you guys are going to want to search by online ID. You guys will want to look up Green Machine Sam like normal. If you guys are not, you guys are going to want to search by content name and search up one of the roster names. I don't remember the roster names off the top of my head, so we're going to go ahead and just push in the PlayStation version. Because I know on Madden side, if you just look up the user ID and they're on a different platform, it doesn't show up. Whereas you would have to search for the file name and not the actual ID because, you know, it's not going cross-platform with that. It's just taking the file that you're uploading and sending it cross-platform. So as you guys can see, the ratings have been updated. I think the top-end players are still a little too highly rated, in my opinion. I think that still needs some work. I don't think there should be as many good players, especially guys like Damian Lillard, who are going to be coming off of an ACL, an Achilles tear. At his age is kind of wild. Joel Embiid's still a very good player, but coming off of another injury, he's going to be 32 heading into this season. It's kind of crazy to still have him at such a high overall. I think some of the young guys are getting overrated too much. One thing that kind of irks me a little bit is the fact that they'll increase somebody's ratings when some of these star players are out or when teams are kind of depleted. It's like somebody has to take the shots. If he's making them, that's cool and all, but is he going to be that level of player playing with his star players as well? You know, a guy like Quentin Grimes, who I don't think is the best player on the planet yet. He was maybe stuck in some bad situations and stuff and couldn't get some shine. Now that he's going to have Jared McCain back, Tyrese Maxey full-time back, VJ Edgecombe, you know, Paul George, Joel Embiid, is he really going to be that guy? I know Quentin Grimes, I don't think has signed his contract yet or his qualifying offer. I know some of these guys haven't. I know Cam Thomas, Jonathan Kuminga. I know Josh Giddey signed his contract, so he should be technically back. A 4-year, $100 million deal. But as you guys can see, the overalls are updated, as well as we did add a couple more players. Johnny Broom here and Hunter Salas, both guys that got added and ended up adding the second-round rookies as well, cleaning up some of the roster stuff as well. Somebody asked if shoes are updated. Shoes are not updated, mainly because a lot of players are going to be wearing brand new shoes going into the next season. They're going to be wearing the newest and latest editions of those shoes. Now, yes, some players still go back to the older Kobe's and stuff like that, but for the most part, I'm not going to be updating shoes. A lot of accessories you can't really change on the players anyway. Well, you can change a good chunk of the players' accessories, like their, you know, arm sleeves, arm bands, leg sleeves, stuff like that, but it just won't fit the total appearance, as well as, you know, like I said, a lot of guys are going to be wearing newer shoes, newer colorways, stuff like that, so there's no real point in updating the shoes. I don't think that's going to kill the immersion that much. This is mainly for a roster that, you know, you're going to be playing. If you want to update those little things, go for it. I have nothing against that. I just don't think it's really worth the time and effort to go in and figure out what players are going to be wearing what shoes, and most of them are probably going to be wearing the same shoes, if not newer models. So there's no real point in that aspect of things. Like I said, did add a bunch of second-round rookies, a bunch of guys that were signed to two-way deals and stuff like that. Now, I don't have 2K26. I'm getting all the information off of ESPN rosters, the team websites, as well as going over to 2K26 and looking at the roster and getting overalls and stuff like that done. So if there are some players that are on two ways that aren't supposed to be on two ways, or guys that are supposed to be on two ways that aren't, stuff like that, vice versa, stick with me. I'll try to get some of that stuff fixed. I normally don't buy the next 2K until I'm not a big online park player, my career, anything like that. If I'm going to play 2K, I'm more than likely going to play My Eras or something of that nature. So I don't have the roster 100% sitting in front of me, and I don't think there's a way I can really tell if they're on two-way besides looking at some of the contract websites. But So I normally went with some of the guys that are lesser known, as well as guys that weren't drafted or second round picks at that, to really give some things out. I will say I do like how much they did kind of decrease a lot of the role players overalls going into this season, which is very, very nice, or the rotation guys. I think that should help out quite a bit. But overall, I think stars are still a little too high, right? Comparing this to like 10 years ago. I understand the game has gotten better. There's a lot more players that are good at a bunch of different things, right? You don't have as many specialists, it feels like, in the NBA anymore. But the amount of guys that are in the 90s and even in the higher 80s is kind of insane to me. I don't think there's this many guys in the league that can really change a team. Whereas if you go play a game of 2K, it feels like you have 1 or 2 stars on every team that can drop 40. And it just doesn't feel like that in the NBA. Now, granted, a lot of guys can go out and score points, but on a regular basis is a much different story. As well as jersey numbers are pretty much correct. The only team, if I remember correctly, that doesn't really have their jersey numbers out are the Washington Wizards right now, both on their website and on ESPN. It has like maybe 5 dudes listed. The Warriors are still very short-handed right now just because they haven't signed a whole ton of players. I don't know what's going on with that, especially with training camp. I think should be starting within the next month, as well as a lot of preseason games starting within the next month or two. So that's kind of weird to me, but overall, nothing too crazy. Like I said, overalls are fixed, ages are fixed, jersey numbers are for the most part fixed. There's still players here and there that are either on two-way deals or, have just been recently added to teams as well, or guys that, maybe aren't getting a permanent jersey number just because they're on that cusp of being cut. One thing I will state that isn't correct with the roster real quick before we get too far into things is the Brooklyn Nets. I tried to add Haywood Highsmith. I cannot add any more players to the Nets because they have currently 20 players on. I've tried the two-way method. I've tried all types of methods to get as many players on this team as possible. They have, I think, 22 people listed on their roster currently, and so I could not add him. And I think there was another one I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they are missing 2 of their players. Granted, they got to cut like fucking 7 dudes at this point, so I don't think it really matters once they end up making those cuts. And a lot of teams become more finalized, especially the teams that have 19, 20 guys currently on the roster. I'll go back through, I'll get those guys cut, and I'll get everything underway. I do plan on doing something with the G League roster. I just don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've kind of had some things in mind, whether it's going into free agency and just going by position and assigning one player at random two players at random to each individual G League roster. I haven't really decided yet. I would like to make it fair, so if I went to like point guards, we would just go down the list, right? Russell Westbrook first goes to the first team, and I'll just do that for each position. That way it tries to make it as fair as humanly possible. And then I just do it in reverse order for, shooting guard. So like whatever the last team is, I think it's the Rip City Remix would get Malik Beasley as their first option, and then of course it would just slowly go down. So if you're staying a third, it wouldn't really matter all that much, but if you're first, it would help you out a ton. It's just more exciting than having, just a bunch of random generated guys, because I hate keeping the G League on, and then you'll see like a month into the season, there's like 4 or 5 dudes on NBA teams. They're like 75 overalls that are just fake players. That's the thing that kills immersion for me the fastest. As well as I did update free agents overalls for the most part. Anybody really down below this mark of players, right? The Westbrooks, the Horfords, the Beasley, Simmons, Brogdons, Achua, Peyton, Payne, Craig, Burks, Curry, Lyles, Melton, Jordan, Bryant, Robinson, Earl, Lee. Outside of a lot of those guys, the guys that have kind of already proven themselves in the NBA to be at least quality role players, if not bottom of the rotation guys, I kind of just move their overall down 1 or 2 points, right? I'm not going to sift through 200 free agents and fucking find everybody's individual rating. So some of the guys won't be 100% accurate, but once they do get added to a team, I can definitely adjust their overall to the correct one if needed. Contracts should, for the most part, be correct. If I did miss a player or two, that is my bad, especially with having to add so many players late. It does kind of throw a wrench into things, as well as some of these guys some of their contract info just isn't out, so I have to kind of guess and get as close to what I think it would be as humanly possible, as well as with 2K not allowing you to do the exact decimal point of how much money they're making. That kind of throws a wrench into things too. So, like I said, jersey numbers should be correct. players should be correct. 2 ways, for the most part, should be correct. Right? I'm using my best judgment on some of these things, as I don't have the actual 2K26 roster sitting directly in front of me that I can stare at and copy it screen to screen. But still, it's a very good roster. If you're still playing 2K25, no shame on that. Trust me, I get it. I've been there before. There was times and years where I couldn't afford to go to the next 2K, right? I had to pick 1 or 2 games a year that it was like, these are the 2 games I'm buying. Am I buying Madden? Am I buying 2K? Am I buying another story game? Am I buying another online shooter? Stuff like that. Trust me, do not worry. I got the roster for you. This is the best roster still being uploaded to 2K25. This will allow you to be able to basically play NBA 2K26 on 2K25. I do appreciate the support you guys have shown to the channel over the last couple months, as well as just in general. I hopefully will be posting more and more as the month goes on. I know I've had a couple lull days here and there. I don't plan on posting every day. That's just kind of unrealistic, right? I only get a day or 2 to really record, where I'm only getting like a 5 or 6 hour period where I can try to record as much as humanly possible. But thank you for the support that you guys have shown to the channel. Hopefully we can continue to grow this thing. And I'll be back with more videos like this. And stay tuned for 2K24 if you're still playing that, because we only have about 3 months left of that game before that game is gone as well. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.